I was just tidying up a bit and placing some workstations. I did not expect you just yet. Anyway, my name is Louis Pantalon and welcome to my brand new world. I named it Terra Lopa. See what I did there? Terra Lopa. Yeah, not that creative. But I like the sound of it, so I stuck with it. I have a lot of plans for this world, and I'll show you in a bit. But first, let's see how all of this started. The first thing I saw in this world was a grass block. Yep, a grass block. That's pretty underwhelming, right? Well, Minecraft's icon is a grass block, so actually it's quite fitting. It turns out I spawned in a mesa. And although the mesa is a very beautiful biome, it's also hard to start in, because passive mobs don't spawn here. So food and a bed are going to be hard to get. Some fish in the river solved the first problem, but the second problem is going to be harder. For a better overview, I climbed the hill to see if I could find any other nearby biomes, but all the way it was mesa, mesa and mesa. I found a little cave to survive the night, and during the night I chopped down most of the trees on the hill. In the meantime, I was thinking what to do with this area, and I imagined that the mesa was a super hot environment where people will be living underground. So I'm going to transform this into an underground village, a place where people work and live underground to escape the heat. Come daytime, it was time to go on an adventure and explore the environment. As you can see, the mesa is a very beautiful place. Time to move on, because we're looking for sheep. Well, or a village where I can borrow a bed. I found one sheep, and instead of killing it, I decided to take it along with me. I decided to follow the shoreline, and apart from this playful dolphin, I found underwater shipwrecks, ruins, entrances to mines, and a lot of other interesting features. But most importantly, I found this mushroom island. Well, not really an island because it's attached to the mesa, it's more of a peninsula. On the other side, I found a little bay, and I decided to set up shop for the coming night. Well, the second night, I still didn't have a bed, so no sleeping for me. And in the meantime, I decided to explore this island a little bit. And while I was exploring, I found a little ravine, and in that ravine, I did a little bit of mining. And as night turned into day again, it was time to resume the quest for a bed. In my tiny little boat, I continued my path down the shoreline of the mesa. Again, I found all kinds of interesting features, like the underwater temple down there in the back. I avoided it like the plague. No need to fall prey to a guardian just yet. And finally, rounding the last corner, I saw a new biome, and in that biome was a village. My quest for a bed is about to end. And I borrowed a bed, looted a chest, and got surprised by the owner of the bed. And he did not agree. And with those basics out of the way, I set out to explore the oceans. Because you see, I wanted to do things a bit differently. Not build a base or mine for resources, but loot the ocean and find the treasures hidden inside the underwater ruins and the shipwrecks, just like this one. And this particular one was the starting point of my first looting run. And I made some maps of all my looting runs. The treasures inside the ships contain a lot of resources. Iron, gold, lapis lazuli. But that's not the only thing I wanted to find, because in the captain's cabin was also the possibility of finding hidden treasure maps. The second looting run was a run to the north, and as you can see by the many crosses, I found a lot of underwater features. A lot of treasure from shipwrecks and underwater ruins. Some of these places are quite stunning. Look at this ship in the coral reef. I did 2 runs close to my base, a long run to the west, and a long run to the south. And while exploring, I found all kinds of interesting places. If you look at this area, for instance, it has a lot of potential to be transformed into a pirate's bay. It's going to be accessible only from sea, and it will be home to ships, a harbor, all kinds of docks, storage places, a tavern, and all kinds of other piratey stuff. Har! Another remarkable find were these 2 underwater temples. I first couldn't believe it, but they were perfectly aligned. This has so much potential, because I'm going to make these into the entrances to Atlantis. I imagine Atlantis to be an underground place, under the ocean bed, and you can access only through the temples. Closer to home, I found a remarkable feature. This piece of floating terracotta. Since I'm going to make the base of operations on the Mushroom Island, I imagine this could be a floating shrine for the people of Terra Lopa. For them, the base of operations is going to be a mysterious place, because they cannot enter and cannot see what's happening inside. So the Mushroom Island is going to be my base of operations. I'm going to hide it from the rest of the world. It will be home to most of the farms that are going to provide me with resources to create all kinds of builds around this world. The next idea I found while boating around an iceberg. I saw yet another underwater temple, and in this harsh environment I imagined the people living off of the spoils of the Guardian farm they created. But by far the biggest discovery was on the final looting run in the south. While looking underwater for shipwrecks, I noticed light coming out of a structure. It was a stronghold. And some of our green friends are obviously chilling in the ocean. And much to my surprise, I found the portal room just around the corner. This is going to be an open-end portal. It's close to the surface, so I'm going to drain the ocean around it and make an epic portal building. Awesome discoveries, and I'm so excited to get to work on those projects. But it will have to wait a bit, because you need to do some other things first. In all my looting runs, I collected almost a double chest full of treasure maps. And it's time to go treasure hunting. But first, I have to do a tedious task. A lot of the treasure maps are duplicates, so I need to sort them and discard a lot. Eventually, I ended up with 16 uniques. And even though it started to rain, I was off to find my first treasure. For these runs, I also drew some maps. The thing with the hidden treasures is that sometimes they're really difficult to find, but sometimes they're also really easy to spot. If you go underwater and you spot a block that's quite out of place, well, usually the treasure's next to it. But you can't be lucky every time. Sometimes finding the treasure is just really a pain in the backside. And there are times that you are just looking in the wrong spot. But in the case you have to come up for air, well, you might just spot it. For the second run, I selected maps to the west. Yeah, this was a lucky one. The next map was straight west, so I decided to go overland. In the process, I discovered two desert temples. The second temple was looking out over a flat desert. This is really a beauty, and I'm going to transform this area into a temple complex in the future. And like I said, sometimes you have to dig around a bit. And sometimes you're just plain lucky. On the way back, I brought another sheep. I selected the new maps and was on my way again. Aligning yourself with the red cross is one thing, but also make sure to look for the block that is out of place, because in most of the times the treasure is right next to it. Like this stone block. Or this one. Along the way, I also found a shipwreck high above in the ice. And in the fourth and final run, I found the last two treasures. And again, hello lonely diorite, show me the money. And after all those runs, it was time to go home. Store away the treasure maps and see what kind of treasure I collected over those runs. Quite substantial. During those trips, I spotted some interesting places that I hadn't marked yet. These islands are going to be the home of fishermen. They have a lot of biodiversity surrounding them. Cold deep ocean to the north and warm tropical ocean to the south. Another place I spotted was this valley between mountains. It's going to be home to farmers, both agriculture and cattle farms, scattered around this valley. And that rock in the distance? It reminds me of an acorn, so there's really only one good name for it, Scratch Rock. And with that, we arrive at the end of this episode. We got quite a lot done. We're stocked up on all kinds of resources, from 75 plus shipwrecks and ruins, and from 15 hidden treasures. We also made quite a lot of plans for different areas of Terra Lopa. I'm really excited to get started on them. Oh, and this collection of animals? Yeah, I collected them from different places. They will come in handy one day. I'm sure. I think.